Donkey balls. How you going? Welcome to my The Expanse Season 1 Episode 7 Windmills review. Donkey balls. This episode starts with Miller riding a tram and he's upset that he couldn't help Julie Mao's father. So he decides, after seeing Anderson Dawes on the TV, that he is going to the docks to confront him. So the Rosinante is on the way to Eros, and because Uncle Matteo rammed the Scipio Africanus, the Martian Navy is now on the lookout for any ships to search. So they have to fly casual, but not too casual. So Nagata then reprograms the Rosinante to see the Martian ships not as friendlies, so they'll get warnings if a Martian ship shows up on the radar. And there's a rogue signal being sent from somewhere on the ship. So Burton goes down below decks and he finds some dude hacking into the system somewhere, and he smacks his head against the wall until his visor cracks and starts leaking air. You know, I keep calling him Burton, but pretty much all the characters are now calling him Amos, so I should probably call him Amos too, so I think I might change that. So Avasarala is then walking through the snow, approaching some farmhouse in Montana in the United States. I'm assuming it's meant to be Holden's parents' house. And there's this really great drone shot of Avasarala walking through the snow in this red cloak. It's a really good contrast between the red of her cloak and the pure white of the snow. So it seems like Holden's parents are like separatists or something, working the land. They want to be left alone by the government. And Holden's mum looks really familiar to me. I don't know where I've seen that woman before. The best I can come up with, was she one of the parents of Friends or How I Met Your Mother or something like that? Leave me a comment below if you know who she is. So it turns out that the guy that was hacking into the ship was the same guy who was spying for Avasarala in the bar. So he says that he's actually a consultant for DeVilla Aerospatial, which they claim is like corporate espionage. But he claims that Fred Johnson was onto him, so he had to get out of Tycho. So he hitched a ride on the Rosinante to Eros. So this Martian ship has sent a shuttle over to rendezvous with the Rosinante, and they decide that they're going to chuck this spy into the airlock and deal with him later. So Miller arrives at the docks and he's in some bar and he starts like pushing people around, and Dawes stands up and says, hey, you know, we're all friends here. And then Miller confronts him about having his goons throw him out the airlock. And Dawes says something about how when people have nothing left to lose, they see what's really important to them. And he thinks that if Miller gets to the point where he has nothing left to lose, then he might himself find out what's really important. So I have to say that Holden's parents have a very nice house. I'm wondering if that's a real house or if it's just a set or something. I'm not sure. So Avasarala's trying to find out whether Holden has like a reason to be blowing up all these ships. Like if his parents send him out there to like become a terrorist or something. And they bring up something called generational land rights, which I've never heard of before. I'm assuming the government must be like, well, if you've lived there for X amount of years, then you get to keep living there. But if you're not, then we can take it off you or something. So back in the Rosinante, and I can never say that ship's name properly. Rosinante. And Kamal is trying to put on his best trucker/YouTube personality voice. How you going there? So the Martian shuttle wants them to transmit their flight plan and their cargo manifest. And once they've got that, they decide, you know what, we're going to board you for inspections. And below decks, Amos is talking to the spy, and he's basically saying to him, like, either way, we're going to kill you. So now the spy's basically got nothing to lose. So the spy opens a panel in the wall, like a touch screen, and he starts fiddling with the circuits. And it looks like he's disabling the touchscreen controls for the airlocks, maybe, and the cameras, because the cameras go black. So then Miller's in Julie Mao's apartment again, and he's like rifling through her stuff trying to find something. And then he like suddenly turns and looks out the window, and there's that hummingbird again, that terrible CG hummingbird. And I'm thinking to myself, that's got to be a robot. Like, is there another vault in there, or is the government like using these birds to spy on people? Maybe it's Anderson Dawes' bird. Maybe he sent it to check out what Miller's up to. So Miller gets a phone call, and it's someone from Eros Station, and they're saying that the Anubis never arrived at Eros, but there was like a one-man escape pod or a shuttle or something that landed there, and it's been abandoned, it seems, because it's just racking up fees at the docks. So Miller sees a necklace on the counter, and he takes it, and it looks like it's maybe a rosary or something. I can't see the significance of it. Maybe he just wants a memento of Julie Mao, or maybe he wants it to present it to her to say like, I'm here to rescue you, or get information about you from your father, like it's an evidence thing. So Avasarala reveals that she told her son that she would only pay for his education if he joined the Marines. And she says that that's how her and her father's careers both began, with some public service. So she says that she regrets doing this because he was stationed in Callisto when there was a rebellion. Callisto is a moon of Jupiter, and like every day she hopes that someone's going to come and tell her that actually there was a mistake and her son's still alive. So it turns out that the spy was actually setting up a booby trap for Amos. So he's put this card inside of the touchscreen that's going to zap him with like 2,000 volts of electricity. But when Amos comes in the room, he says that he's here to get him out so that he can come and help them. So the spy quickly opens the terminal and rips the card out and then closes it, and like, he's like, oh, about time, thanks. I need to go to the toilet though. So the spy tells them that they're doing it all wrong. Like, instead of pretending to be a gas ship, they should be pretending to be like some spies or secret operatives who are pretending to be a gas ship. So it's like 3 layers of subterfuge. And then Kamal says that he remembers being on a ship when they went to board someone, and then the occupants of that ship mentioned donkey balls, and all of a sudden the captain was like, all right, wait, no, cancel the boarding. We're all right, we're going. So they reckon these Martian covert ships have code words that if another Martian ship intercepts them, they can just tell them the code word and they'll back off. And the spy says that there has to be a code word in a book somewhere located on the ship. So they say that there should be a locker somewhere. And they find this locker right where they're standing, luckily. And Holden pulls out this little card and sticks it in a slot, like an SD card reader. So Nagata's like, where'd you get that key from? And he's like, I got it off Lopez. So I'm wondering if that's the key card with the drive signatures and the designs of the ships that attacked the Donninger. So then the locker says that even though you have the card, you still have to put in a 24-character security code. So they're like, donkey balls. And then we see that Miller is basically cashing out all his chips and getting off series. And he even leaves his sweet hat behind. Now in this scene, both the cashier at the pawn shop and Mus, who comes to see Miller off, both make a point about the necklace. Like, the cashier wants to buy it off Miller, and Miller says it's not for sale. And then Mus like sees it in his hand, and she's like, So I'm wondering if Mus kind of thinks that he's got the hots for Julie Mao. Not sure. But I'm pretty sure that she knows now that he's actually going out to find her. So Avasarala is talking to Holden's mum, and Holden's mum basically says that Holden has a complete lifetime of standing up to the government. Like, his dad was going to trials and he had to go meet people at the gate who were there to like intimidate them and stuff. So there's no love lost between Holden and the government. But in the end, his mum thought that this is no place for him to be. It's no kind of life being pushed around by the government. So she told him that either he leaves or she will. So he left, and he's been in space ever since. So back on the Rosinante, and they still need to crack this locker to get these secret code words out if they're there at all. So Nagata decides that she's going to try to power down the locker because there's like a locking mechanism that if they fiddle with it, that it'll permanently lock it. So if she disables the power to it, it won't be able to close the lock. And then Amos has got some guns and he's heading down to the airlock and he's ready to shoot whoever comes through there. But Holden doesn't want that. Holden's like, you might be killed or be killed, whereas I'm more like, let's see if we can talk this through. So Amos is going to basically do whatever he has to do to survive. Whereas Holden's like, hang on, these are Martians. Martians helped us get off the Donninger. We can't do this to them. So Kamal tries to stall the Martian boarding party, and he stalls and he stalls, and he's like, oh, how about the weather out there? And oh, gee, how about that local sporting team? And then just as the other ship is like, listen, let us in or we're going to blow a hole in your hull, Nagata says that she's in. So then Kamal says to the boarding party, sorry about that. Our systems are a bit ubiquitous, mendacious, and polyglottal. Like donkey balls. Every time they mention donkey balls, I'm so immature. I just have to have a giggle. So then Avasarala is leaving Holden's house and she tells Aaron Wright that, Holden's like nothing to worry about. Like, we'll get the spy to disable him and then we'll bring him back home and we'll interview him. But Aaron Wright tells her that the spy hasn't been responding, like he's missed his last 2 call-in times, and that his last transmission said that he was boarding the ship that Holden was on to Eros, and that they were flying a Martian gunship that was supplied to them by Johnson. So it's too late now. He's sending in a crack team to take Holden out. And when he gets to Eros, he'll be a goner. But I'm thinking it's probably lucky that he's got Amos with him, because Amos will be like, bring it on, see how that works out for you. And they've got this spy too, so he might be able to like gather some intel and find out that they're actually going to be attacked when they get to Eros too. So then Holden pulls Nagata aside and says to her, like, listen, you have to exert whatever control you have over Amos because he's about to fly off the chain. You either reel him in or he's gone. So the spy finally gets to have a wee, and he says to Holden, like, listen, like, I'm not an animal like that Burton guy. Are you like him? And Holden says, no, I'm not an animal. And he's like, good, because if you decide to off me, then I want to know in advance so I can make peace with it. And he says, I am not an animal. I am a human being. All the while, he's filming Holden with his creepy peeper vision. And I so thought that he was totally going to get a signal right at the end there, because it was like trying to connect to a network. And then the final scene is Miller boarding a shuttle bus to Eros. And the camera pans around and it shows that he's playing with Julie's prayer beads. So the way he's like separating them bead by bead kind of makes me think that they are some sort of a prayer bead. So yet again, this was another great episode like the last one. I really appreciate there were more longer 5-minute plus scenes. This new spy character has got me intrigued. It's going to be hard to work out what he's up to, considering that's what spies basically do for a living. And I think that some of his spy tools and gadgets could change the whole game here. But I just hope that they set up some limits to it, because I just don't want him to be able to get them out of any situation at any time. And the situation with Amos is getting a bit hairy too, because he seems like he's really turning into a bit of a beast. He's got this kill or be killed attitude, and I'm not sure how that's going to fit in with Holden and his no violence stance. And is Nagata going to have to pick a side? I'm also wondering if anyone has been looking out through a telescope or radar or something and saw this Martian ship attempt to dock with the Rosinante and then basically pull away at the last minute. That might lead to some questions being asked. And the whole Martians patrolling the sector looking for any ship to stop kind of explains the purpose of the Uncle Mateo and Diogo scene in the last episode. But then I'm wondering, is anyone going to actually rescue Diogo, or is he just going to freeze in space? So I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10. It was really good. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Won't you join me then? Oh, before I go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.